This is our criminal profile assignment on Charles Manson and the Manson family, presented by Riley Oyen
and Seamus DeCosta. Charles Miles Manson, at birth known as Charles Miles Maddox, was born in Cincinnati, Ohio on November 12, 1934. In 1947, at 12, Manson is sent to a boys' school for stealing. Over the next few years of his life, he is in and out of prison and reform schools for various crimes. He has a history of manipulation and controlling behavior throughout his childhood. Manson's mother was a young prostitute that could not look after her child.
From time to time, Manson was sent to live with his aunt and uncle, who mentally and physically abused him from an early age. Furthermore, there is documented proof that while in the system and in boys' homes, Manson was sexually assaulted many times. Moreover, he was also forced to wear women's clothes as a type of social humiliation. In the picture above, you see Manson and his mother.
During 1955, Manson marries his first wife, Rosalie Jean Willis Manson. He was also married to a woman named Leona in the early 1960s, whose last name is not publicly known. He also has at least 2 children with Rosalie Jean Willis Manson, named Charles M. Manson Jr., and another child with a woman whose name is not publicly known. The child's name is Charles Luther Manson.
In 1967, Manson is released from prison and moves to San Francisco. From 1967 to 1968, Manson attracts a very large group of followers. Manson is highly intelligent and highly manipulative. It is these qualities that allow him to create a large and very dedicated following. This large group of followers moves to the Span Ranch outside of Chatsworth, California.
Just after the Manson family moves, they commit their first of many murders. The Manson family was active in 1969 in LA, California. Hinman is killed on Manson orders. However, it is Bobby Beausoleil, Mary Brenner, and Susan Atkins that actually kill the man.
Then, on August 8th and 9th of 1969, on Manson's command, a group of his followers kills 5 people. The victims were Sharon Tate, her unborn child, Wojak Frykowski, Abigail Folger, Jay Sebring, and Stephen Parent. However, these victims are not directly killed by Charles Manson, but by his followers, who are Tex Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Casbani, who actually follow through with the murders.
Manson wanted to start a race war. He murdered Sharon Tate because he wanted to start a race war, and Tate was a very prominent figure that he thought would attract the most outrage. His followers wrote pigs on the wall with the victims' blood in hopes that police would blame the Black Panther Party. Helter Skelter outlines how Manson hoped to create tension between whites and blacks with these murders.
In October of 1969, Manson and his followers are actually arrested on suspicions of auto theft. Then, come November, Atkins, who was charged with the murder of Hinman, brags to his fellow inmate that he was actually the one who committed the Tate murders.
The same month, the LA Sheriff's Department interviews an associate of Manson in hopes of finding out more about the Tate murder. The associate tells them that Manson had, in fact, said he had killed Tate. The LAPD then speak with the inmate that Atkins confided in, and he confirms the Tate murder as well. A few days later, Watson is apprehended in Texas.
Then in November 8th, in 1969, Manson, Watson, Atkins, Krenwinkel, and Casabin are indicted for the murders of Tate and her friends. The jury also indicts all 5 with the gruesome murders of the LeBlanca family. Above here, you see what the family wrote on the Tate's walls after they had murdered them.
On November 16th in 1970, the trial begins. During his trial, Manson appears in court with a swastika carved into his forehead. The trial goes on for 7 months, and the jury sentences Manson to the death penalty. He is found guilty on January 25th, 1971.
The above picture shows Watson walking into his own court dates. However, in 1972, the death penalty is abolished in California, and the Manson family is sentenced to prison in life. Above we see Charles Tex Watson and Charles Manson, who both got their death penalties abolished.
Manson appeals for parole multiple times. However, the system finds him unremorseful and denies him release.
In the above picture, we see Manson at one of his appeal dates. While in jail, Manson has a 25-year-old pen pal that is still devoted to Manson and his cause. The two do obtain a marriage license, however, the wedding is cancelled, and Manson dies while in jail. In the picture above, we see Manson arriving to his court date.
Then on November 19th of 2017, Manson dies after 2 days within the hospital. Manson dies of natural causes in Kern County, California.
The above picture shows Manson with the swastika that he carved into his own face while in jail.
Pictured above are the 60 mugshots of the Manson family. Although not all blood related, some members conceived children together. Manson would remove the children from their mothers and give them to a different female of the family in order to erase their bond with the original mom.
Even though in jail, Manson still receives undying support from multiple people. Manson is put into confinement on multiple occasions for his blazing attitude towards the justice system. Above, we see him being led into his cell.
In this picture above, you see one of his undying fans, who even to this day still supports Manson's vision.
Above, we see a picture of Manson as a young man and him older while in jail. It is ultimately the traffic stop and the confession of one man who brought down the Manson family. It is this confession and traffic stop that brings Manson to justice and dismantles his entire family.
Pictured above is Manson throughout the years, from 1948 to 2011, as a child, adolescent teen, cult leader, killer, manipulator, and all-around shit rat.
This concludes our presentation. We used many references while looking at Charles Manson and his family.